Hello and welcome back to another video for Final Fantasy XIV with me, Meoni. Today I'm joined by my good friend James, you might remember from raiding with me and also some tea times in the past. Say hi, James.
Hi.
Hi.
Wow, that was a really bad eye.
It was hi for some reason. I don't know what that was about.
Yeah.
But anyway,
I don't either.
So this is our kind of free-form discussion, but we are going to go through the patch 7.2 Seekers of Eternity job changes notes. So the patch notes were updated. I did an hour-long nearly video the other day because that's how long the 7.2 patch notes were. That was the preliminary notes and did not have any of the job changes, and we've been waiting for that. And it was posted today, so I waited until James had finished work so we could talk about this because there's quite a few interesting changes, isn't there?
Yes.
Okay.
It's definitely interesting.
Yeah, so on screen right now, I've got the 7.2 adjustments overview, which is on the job guide page for Final Fantasy XIV. A link will be in the description. So we're just going to read through this for context before we look at the notes. So first of all, it says all roles. We've made adjustments to a variety of actions after reviewing the offensive capabilities of melee and ranged DPS roles, as well as the balance within all roles. Due to the unique nature of future battle design, quote unquote, we anticipate situations in which close ranged attacks may be difficult to execute. So we have generally increased the attack potency of melee DPS roles. So there you go, there's your first segment. And then it says, in the wake of 7.0, interesting terminology, Pictomancer's offensive capabilities have been unexpectedly high, so we have increased the attack power of other jobs to achieve a better balance. However, considering Pictomancer's strength even after these adjustments and their continued efficiency in various duties, we have decided to temper Pictomancer in 7.2. Nerf, basically. We appreciate your understanding. Finally, adjustments to the reduction of potency for multiple targets in certain area of effect actions were made mainly in order to achieve a better balance within ultimate raids. It says further mention of these particular adjustments will be omitted from the following explanations. So there's your basic guide of what they've looked at there. There seems to be a lot of tailoring around ultimate raids for AoEs. Does there not? And yeah, what are your general thoughts just on that bit alone?
The AoE adjustments for better balance in ultimate raid seems a bit weird.
Yeah, elaborate.
Well, they haven't really said, well, how's it going to affect the rest of the game? I mean, if you bump up all your AoE by, say, 20%, that's just going to make all AoE 20% better in all content.
Yeah.
So, is that not going to affect your basic dungeons and everything else?
Of course it will. Because that, unless they're going to do what they did with PvP, where you now have you seen this, by the way? This is something else in these patch notes we'll get to later, where PvP has now got, not only has it got crystalline conflict, it has its own entire setup for each class, job, role, etc., with new role actions. But now Frontline is completely different than crystalline conflict and has been reinvented in that regard with completely different. It's weird. So are they going to do something different for ultimate raids? Probably not. So yeah, you're right. Surely this would affect the entire game, right? In the PvE side of things.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose it depends how the community feels about just basically AoE going, needing like maybe an extra 2 or 3 less GCDs to kill a pack. Are they going to start increasing pack sizes?
I don't know.
Making pulls longer to make it a bit more challenging? I don't know.
Does it? Okay, that's a good question though, and we could get onto a whole different topic of that. But yes. I only have one question for you, and it can be a yes and no. And I think I know the answer to this. Would increasing the size of packs of monsters in a dungeon make it more challenging?
I suppose on tanks and healers, yes.
I don't know. You know, my biggest complaint with Dawntrail is that I miss Stormblood when you could do something like, what's it called? Oh God, I can't remember the dungeon now. Is it Bottom's Metal? Where you can basically, if you wanted to, the first few packs, you can just blitz all the way down to the door of the first boss. and that is a tough pack to heal, but it's fun. I kind of missed that, and then with Dawntrail and obviously the previous expansion as well, you can't really do that. You have like 2 packs of mobs, and then there's a wall, and then the wall drops. So I don't know. I don't think they would increase the amount of mobs at all. I think that would be the opposite of what they seem to be doing.
It does seem like that, but
yeah. Anyway,
I mean, personally, I think from a community perspective, they'd probably be happy because people like doing things quicker.
Yeah, they do.
So,
yeah, and it's more focused towards that, as we've seen with this expansion, right? Which is another topic, but there we go. So the first major thing then is tank, and it says the reasoning for this, and we'll read each one and then we'll read the patch notes. Okay, so first, tanks. In order to gain a better balance between tank roles, action potency for warrior and gunbreaker has been increased. And if we go to the actual patch notes, as you can see here, we have the following. Now, obviously not reading all of this out verbatim, but as we can see here, Paladin, Total Eclipse, Prominence, Holy Circle, these are all potency increases there. And then we've got reduction in potency after the first target has been changed from 50 to 60% on Confiteor, Blades, Imperator, and then Blade of Honor as well. And then for Marauder, we've got potency increases on Heavy Swing, Storm's Path, Storm's Eye, Upheaval. Then we've got Chaotic Cyclone reduction by 100 on that. And we've got then Primal Ren, Wrath, and Ruination changed from 70% to 50% after the first target as well. And then we've got Dark Knight, Salt and Darkness, again, with Shadowbringer, Impalement, Disesteem. Is that how you say that? I think that's how you say that. Disesteem.
Yes.
It says reduction in potency after the first target changed from 50% to 25 for both Shadowbringer and Salt and Darkness. Impalement potency reduced from 320 to 300, and Disesteem reduction in potency 50% to 25 after the first target. And finally, the last tank, Gunbreaker, 2 changes Reign of Beasts and Noble Blood. Potency increase from 800 to 1000 on Reign of Beasts and 1000 to 1100 on Noble Blood. Thoughts?
I mean, it's mostly, Paladin's literally just Total Eclipse, Prominence, Holy Circle, or AoEs, so.
Yeah.
Interesting, they got AoE buff. I don't know if AoE buff as well as reduction in potency for a lot of stuff. That's AoE. Warriors, a few single target buffs a little bit, isn't it?
A little bit, yeah. But nothing to write home about, really. It's just, I think they're just trying to bring tanks in line in terms of...
it seems to me that they've basically buffed the single target of Warrior and Gunbreaker to bring them more in line with the other two.
Yeah.
And the rest is just whatever their AoE stuff is. So.
Yeah, and then the rest is literally just AoE potency.
Interestingly, Gunbreaker's AoE stays at 60% on stuff.
Yes, notice that, because otherwise they would have posted it here. So yeah,
it's only on their 2 minute though, because all the rest of theirs isn't actually.
That's right. Yeah,
doesn't really have the same. So
there's your tanks, and then we're back to the job guide and melee DPS. It says, in light of future battle design, we have generally increased attack potency to maintain a good balance with ranged DPS roles. And if we go back to the patch notes, we've got obviously Monk there, Tornado Kick, Elixir Field, Flint Strike. We've had the potency after the first target been changed from 50% to 40% for both Tornado Kick and Elixir Field. Flint Strike as well, the same. Enlightenment potency reduced from 200 to 160. Rising Phoenix reduction in potency after the first target from 70% to 40%. That applies to Phantom Rush, Elixir Burst. Wind's Reply potency increased from 900 to 1040. Reduction in potency after the first target from 50 to 40%. Fire's Reply, basically the same, just a potency increase there of 1200 to 1400. And the same reduction in potency after the first target, so there's your AoE. And Dragoon is basically just potency buffs to Drakesbane, Stardiver, and Heaven's Thrust. As far as I can tell, yeah, it's just like 10, 20 here or there, isn't it?
Yeah, it's
of
not
potency, nothing too crazy. Ninja has a lot of changes here. Aeolian Edge. You want to say any of this?
Yeah, it's mostly just like 20 potency on most of the stuff on the screen, really.
Yeah, that's about it, isn't it? It's like 20% potency changes to individual skills here or there, with the occasional change to, again, AoE, right? After the first target, change from 50% to 25 there on Phantom Kamitachi and Kunai's Bane and Deathrog medium potency reduction there. There is a little bit of a nerf there. Interesting. And then we got Samurai, Isatsu Kyuten, and Gurren potency reductions, which is interesting.
Are they the AoEs?
I think so, right? I think they are. Yeah.
One of them is.
I haven't played Samurai in a very long time. Shoha.
Yeah.
Reduction in potency so again after the first target, it's been changed from 65% to 50%. Ugi Namakiri. We got trait melee mastery 3 will now increase potency from 900 to 1000. Interesting. And reduction in potency after the first target has been changed from 75% to 50. And the same could be said for the reduction in potency after the first target of Keishi Namakiri. And we've also got the same buff to melee mastery 3 affecting that as well. Zanshin potency buff. And the similar thing with reduction in potency after the first target, this time from 60% to 50%. And then we got Tendo Setsugeka potency increase to 1,100 from 1,020, and the same for Keishi Setsugeka. Probably butchered the names there, right?
Yeah. So changed the potency reductions, but nerfed a few of the AoEs to compensate.
Yeah.
Buffed a few of the other AoEs, and a bit of single target on Setsugeka, really. Basically.
Nothing too crazy, honestly. And then Reaper, Void Reaping, again, melee mastery affecting potency a lot on 500 to 540 for that, and cross reaping. Again, with AoEs, look, Harvest Moon, Plentiful Harvest, Communio, 60% to 40% after the first target. Potency increased on Sacrificium. That's quite interesting. Quite a big one, actually. 530 to 600.
That's an interesting one for Melee Mastery 3.
Oh, no longer increases the potency of Spinning Scythe to 160.
Yeah.
And no no buffs from that.
No.
For Nightmare Scythe either.
So no longer you get a buff to potency for a trait. It's interesting.
That is interesting. Executioner's Guillotine, bit of a nerf there to 260 potency from 300. Perfectio, again, after the first target, 60% to 40%. Those are what we are used to. And the last melee in the room, Viper, which is the newest one. First, second, third, and fourth legacy potency changes with buffs. All of them from 280 to 320. Which is interesting, actually. There's not really any real changes to Viper at all, apart from buffs.
I mean, they did a big change, didn't they, already?
They did, but...
I also have not played Viper, so I'm not sure if they have a lot of fall off on AoE or not.
I'm not sure. I could live vicariously through one of our raid members at the minute, and he seems to still be enjoying it a lot. So...
I'm just having a quick check. It doesn't look like they have a lot of skills that have fall off. So that's probably why.
Yeah. So thoughts on melee then?
Well, from the original, it looks like uptime's going to be a bit more difficult, so they've upped the potency to compensate for lost GCDs. And then it's AoE changes, so not a lot really changed.
No. Mostly just AoE stuff. So then it comes to ranged.
Fizz ranged.
Oh boy, Fizz ranged. Okay, Bard. Okay, pitch perfect. Again, Bard's actually getting quite okay.
So from the job guide, physical battle design will likely not affect physical range DPS very much, so we've not made adjustments in this area.
Okay. However, saying that, we have a reduction in potency after the first target been changed from 50% to 55%. Oh, wait, really? So that's a buff on Pitch Perfect by 5%? Okay. Shadow Bite, potency increases
That's
on
a
the
nerf,
barrage.
I
Is
would
it?
just like to say. Yeah, it's been changed from 50 to
Oh
55.
yeah, the reduction. Sorry, I for some reason I read that incorrectly. The reduction. Oh, that is a 5% nerf. Okay.
So they've done it on Resident Arrow, so they've actually nerfed Bard's reduction in potency.
Yeah.
And increased the dot damage.
Yeah.
Shadow Bite.
With Shadow Bite.
Is that dot?
I don't know. I don't play Bard.
I don't play Bard either.
I don't play Bard. We are the worst people ever to talk about Bard, apparently. Oh, dear. Okay, and then I've seen a lot of people talk about this. Machinist. Oh, boy. So, Machinist is, basically just trashed, isn't it? Let's be honest.
So, Shadow Bite is an AoE.
Oh, it's an AoE. Okay, that makes more sense. Yeah. Right, okay. Increase in AoE damage, but...
Yeah.
Okay. Thoughts on Machinist, then, just looking at this, then, because it's all basically potency reductions. It's just all nerfs, isn't it?
Well, it looks like they've basically taken a bit of potency off and changed the reduction. So it's probably about even, I'd imagine.
What, in line with other Fizz ranged?
No, just in line with
Is it what Machinist was what needed? Is this really what they needed?
I don't. Well, I mean, their single target's going to be exactly the same as what it was in 7.1, isn't it? This is all AoE, I think.
Yeah.
So,
but again, there's no buffs to their single target, so they're still kind of.
But they did say they weren't changing that. So
yeah.
But all bards were AoE as well. So I'm going to guess everything. All Fizz range is just AoE changes, and that's it.
But weren't Machinists hoping for some buffs?
They've been hoping for buffs for 6 years.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's why it's kind of like you read this and you're just like, okay, great. But, no buffs to anything that matters, and then you just...
Yeah, but it does make me wonder how much uptime is going to matter if they're buffing melee, but not Fizz ranged. Which means...
Doesn't that imply that there's a lot of melee abilities to avoid?
Yeah, look, it sounds like there's going to be a lot of downtime out of melee.
I'm trying to think what that could even mean. Because there's always equidistant kind of, well, or at least there should be from a design perspective. Like, there's always, like, for example, if it's an AoE, there's always a safe spot in the center, for example.
Yeah, maybe they're not doing that with the new design counter.
So what, they're going to make melee run to the edge of the room with the ranged? Oh,
possibly.
I can see some people basically quitting in this tier if that happens, because they'd be like, I hate this fight, I hate that fight. And meanwhile, ranged are just like, wow, what's wrong? That's how I felt about some of the other fights in this game, honestly.
Yeah, that's what he said in the overall, isn't it? Yeah. Close range stacks may be difficult to execute, and you don't buff melee when melee's already like much higher DPS than Fizz range to have Fizz range basically have no changes.
Which just sure, I was expecting to see Machinist potency increases to single target abilities. I genuinely hoped that was going to be the case. I think a lot of other people were, but when you just look at this on its own without any buffs, it's kind of like, oh, okay, I guess I'll play Dancer then, right? I think a lot of people...
Dancer's the same.
Is Dancer not stronger than Machinist at the moment?
Everything's stronger than Machinist.
There you go then.
Yeah.
And then we got the Dancer changes, which is just your AoE stuff. It's all the AoE stuff.
AoE.
Basically.
Yeah, I think they've changed every AoE skill on Dancer, it looks like.
I'm pretty sure that's the entire repertoire, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot, yeah. Yeah, Dance to the Dawn, finishing move, Last Dance, Fan Dance 4, Talana, Saver Dance, Quadruple Technical Finish, Triple Technical Finish, Double Technical Finish, Single Technical Finish, Technical Finish, Fan Dance 3. We've got potency increases on Blood Shower, though, to 200 from 180. And Rising Windmill buff there. And a buff on Blade Shower, as well as Blood Shower. But yeah, and then single standard, double standard, standard finish, AoE changes.
So, 20 potency on your standard AoE, and then the AoE procs you can get.
Yeah.
So.
So yeah, I'm fairly sure there's quite a few machinists who are going to be like, really? That it? Ooh, interesting. All right. Really important bit then. Magical range DPS then, before we talk about the elephant in the room. We anticipate the future battle design may cause difficulty with casting spells. How? Keeping this in mind, we have increased attack potency of rolls other than Pictomancer to achieve a better balance between magical range DPS jobs. All right. Bearing that in mind, now we go to Black Mage. Okay. Thoughts, opinions. You are a former Black Mage. We have to preface that you no longer play the video game, do you, James? You no longer subscribe.
I was going to play the game until I saw the Black Mage changes.
What, in 7.2?
Yeah, I'm still going to do everything else. I was just taking a break from raiding, but maybe not.
Maybe not. Do you wanna guide us through this list? Then I'll let you be the one that reads the relevant things, because there's a whole screen here of just pain and suffering. Go ahead.
So, to put it simply, all casted spells are now 2 seconds, pretty much.
Right.
So that is Blizzard 1, Fire 1, Fire... Blizzard 4, Fire 4, Foul, Despair before you get the enhanced Astral Fire to make it instant, and Flare Star. And Flare, interestingly enough, is also been cast time reduced.
And Freeze.
And Freeze, yes.
Thoughts?
Which is interesting. So the Enochian timer, well, it's not even an Enochian timer anymore, it's Astral Fire and Umbralized timers have been removed as well.
Yeah, that's interesting, isn't it?
The ley lines has been reduced from 30 seconds down to 20 seconds. They've nerfed the potency on Blizzard 4 and Fire 4. That's fair enough. They've increased the potency by 10 of Xenagossi. For some unknown reason, they've reduced Enochian effect down by 5%.
Wow. Just to 22% from 25%.
No, it's from 32 down to 27. The advanced.
Oh,
we have 4 different stages.
yeah. Sorry. Okay,
Yeah.
enhanced 4. Right. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I was looking at the 3. All right. I don't play Black Mage. You have to bear with me there.
And they've increased the potency of Flare Star. And additionally, the High Thunder procs and Firestar procs are now no longer expire until used.
Right.
So, I want to just start before going. The only thing they haven't actually touched is High Fire 2 and High Blizzard 2.
Yeah.
Which, interestingly enough, are still 3-second cast times, if I remember rightly. Just get you. 2.5-second cast times. And have terrible potency. And in 7.1 and 7.0, generally speaking, you just ignore them anyway. And now Flare's now got a faster cast time than High Fire 2. And High Fire 2 has a potency of 100, by the way. Compared to Flare.
Yeah.
which is currently 240, with a 30% less for all the remaining enemies. So it does basically 1.4 times more potency, less cast time. Well, it is actually 3-second cast time on High Fire.
So what are they doing to Black Mage then? Generalization. What are they doing, James?
They've made it so you can't fail.
Okay. And how can you not fail?
I like how you're just pushing me along now.
I am pushing you along.
So, to put it essentially, because Astral Fire and Umber Light no longer expires, you now have no reason to have to refresh it, which means you can basically take your time. You no longer are constrained on how many GCDs you can fit within your fire phase. So you can now use as many instant casts like Xenoglossy. You no longer have to care where you refresh Thunder. You just have to do it when it comes, as it runs out. Paradox is now basically just a movement ability because it's the same potency as a Fire 4. It just affects. You probably still use it because you want Fire Starter for some stuff. But other than that, there's not really any way to fail it, to be fair. Unless for some reason you're pressing like Blizzard 1.
So the focus then is trying to keep Black Mage mobile? Is that fair to say? Is that what they're...
Well, with the changes to the cast times, you now have more slide cast time in between each thing. So for anyone to know, you could basically start moving generally about 0.5 seconds before the end of a cast. And Fire 4's old cast time was 2.8 seconds, so it was actually higher than your recast time.
Right.
So you only had basically half a second to slide cast to move. Moving Fire 4 down to 2 seconds means you can essentially start to move a second before your next GCD comes up. So it's basically doubled your slide cast window.
Which makes it easier and less likely for you to mess up your rotation whilst having to react to a mechanic on screen.
Yes.
Now, their little write-up was saying that it's going to be more... What was it exactly? Without me tabbing again?
More difficult to cast spells.
More difficult to cast spells. So we had this thing with Melee, though, where they were saying, like, Melee, we're going to find it harder for uptime. But now they're saying, so... How are Melee going to have a harder time than casters if they're then putting...
They're going to make it so you have to run around the arena in circles.
Yeah, there's like beams or something, like, I don't know, a jet of water or something constantly or something on every fight. As well as, I don't know, some AoEs.
The interesting thing was, Black Mage didn't really have any issues with movement.
No.
I mean, just to go through it all, we had 6 instant casts with 2 triple crash charges.
We're talking Dawntrail here, specifically, how they've done
Yes.
it. Yeah.
Well, yeah, 2 triple crash charges for 6 instant casts. Xenoglossy every 30 seconds. That's 1. Thunder Free, which comes up whenever you need it. A Firestarter proc, which is instant cast. Despair's instant cast with 7.1. Paradox is instant cast with 7.0. And a Swift cast on 40-second cooldown.
Yeah, so you had quite the toolkit to deal with a phase that had you doing something. So does that then imply that instead of specific phases where something happens that you have to run around, that the entire fights are structured in a sense where you're never standing still? Is that what they're getting at?
Well, they basically gave, not quite, but near enough sort of healer GCDs. Just a bit longer than a healer GCD.
Yeah, I see that, yeah.
And the reason they didn't give a healer GCD, because a healer GCD gives you a weep spot. So, to try and keep some of the, in quotation marks, challenge to it, they gave it just a thing where you can't weave after a Fire 4, because you don't quite have enough time. You're about 0.2 to 0.3 seconds off being able to weave. So, I don't know.
What are your thoughts about the timers being removed?
Basically what I said before, I just don't think they want failure anymore. I don't think failure is tolerated in jobs. And I think that's basically what their job design is.
And which is one of the reasons why you no longer play the game at a high end.
Well, for me, what I liked about Black Mage, I call it challenging, but I'll be honest with you, Black Mage rotation was never challenging in and of itself. Some people might have found it, but I didn't. But it was how it basically makes the fight more challenging because it splits your attention off from the mechanic.
There's lots to... Basically, you're juggling a lot. Well, you used to be juggling a lot of things, and that management, that kind of micromanagement was not found in every single job, and it was not found in every single job by design from the start. It was supposed to be that there were different skill ceilings and different ways of doing things to deal with maybe the same amount of damage. It's never been about, oh, Black Mage needs to have the highest potency abilities in the game. It's never been about that. It's been about people like yourself, I'm summarizing here, I think I'm correct, wanting to have, you know, a different play style than just everything else being a set way, right?
Yeah, so we had, obviously in Endwalker, we had endless flexibility of how to do the rotation to help alignment. And then obviously, because of the higher cast times, you have to think a lot about your pre-positioning, so you've got to think about where you're going for the next mechanic while doing your torrent one. And that's where the challenge comes in, is rather than the actual rotation itself, is your attention split between multiple things. So it's a challenge to keep your attention on everything and do everything correct, as opposed to just looking at the mechanic for 100% of the time and going...
Which is something that I know all about because I used to play Y-Mage quite often. You know, for the most part of this game, up until more recently when I went Picto, and you know, I like casters now and I like the DPS, and I'm not going back healer. Basically, once you catch the bug, you don't go back, sort of thing. But yeah, I understand that because you do end up tunneling. Fights become repetitive when you don't have anything else to challenge yourself with. Like, for example, on the previous tier, it was fantastic. I enjoyed it. But even I will admit, like M4S, once we had everything, like we knew all of the mechanics, there wasn't really anything to go wrong other than people's stupidity, right? Like,
well, I think that's half the problem, isn't it? Once the fights become a thing, you start to lose concentration.
Yeah, and then you start to make silly mistakes that cause wipes.
And then you get more annoyed because you're making silly mistakes, and it makes you more mistakes.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. Overall, what do you think of the direction of Black Mage? What would you change? Very briefly, we're going to keep this brief before we move on because we've got more of these to look at.
I would change everything back to Endwalker Black Mage.
Yeah? Absolutely everything?
Everything.
You wouldn't keep anything?
No.
Not any abilities?
No. No, Flare Style was terrible when it was first introduced.
All right.
The only thing I would change was fix your AoE, because I can't believe you overlooked it so much that literally two of the skills, it's actually a DPS game to just ignore them and clip.
Yep. Well, that's the game we play. Where do you see it going in 8.0? That's the last thing I want to talk to you about on Black Mage. Where do you hope it goes, and where do you know it where do you think it's going?
Where I think it's going?
Yeah.
Well, if they're carrying on with their fight design, like they say, with, as it says, future fight design.
Yeah, future fight design, right?
I can see the fights getting quick enough that they just remove cast times.
You really think that?
Maybe not in 8.0, but maybe 9.0.
Like straight up full, like no cast bars?
For anything, no.
That's crazy. How would that work?
Well, the only way I can see is over time. This is a bit of a tangent, by the way.
Yeah, it's a bit of a tangent, but it's fine.
But in Heavensward, we had, you had a lot of stuff in your job you had to manage.
Right.
And so mechanically, the Heavenward's raid fight series was quite simple in mechanics and it wasn't quick, if you know what I mean, as it is now. Then they kind of flipped it in Stormblood, didn't they? And went more into sort of fight design and encounters over job.
Yeah.
And they sort of started taking out pain points of jobs, like, and they've done that. And I think the fights have generally got quicker and more mechanically layered over the expansions. And as that's gone, they've started removing pain points, like they've started removing dots and they started removing timers from the jobs.
So what you're saying, to summarize, is as you increase the difficulty and well, not necessarily difficulty, but the layering of mechanics and the stage show as it is, like Honey Be Lovely, for example, is a perfect example of that, both metaphorically and literally a stage show, right? As you increase those layers, you have to decrease the amount of attention that the character is having to play their job, right? Because it's no longer just a patchwork fight anymore, is it? It's no longer just a target dummy.
You gotta look at your failure points, and a lot of this is timers, because like they've removed timers from practically most of their jobs now. Like Dragoon had a load taken, they're removing there, and then they're reducing they're reducing cast times. They did that for healers. They've now done it for Black Mage.
Would you agree with the argument that this game is turning more into a skill-based system, as in, but what I mean by skill-based is athletic, skill, i.e. being able to move from AoEs? Like a skill-based MMO, or what?
I wouldn't say skill-based, because realistically, it's more of a memory game.
Oh, that is, yeah. Memory is a skill, isn't it?
Well, but when I think skill based, you sort of thinking.
I know that's what you think, but when I say skill based, I mean it's out of context, but a jumping puzzle. Move here, don't get hit, that kind of thing. Don't get hit by this. Do get hit by this. Bring this over here, so this person gets hit by this. There seems to be a lot more of that, right? That's what I mean by skill based.
I mean that's half of what concerns me about the NAS. Because if this is like the start of another 10-year cycle, they can't keep making the fights faster and more layers. There's a certain point where it's physically impossible to go all the mechanics at a certain speed.
Yeah.
So then what do they do?
Make the fights longer so they can fit more of them in without cramping them?
But, I mean, then you're just slowing down the speed of the fight again.
Well, it could also be the counter to people's constant feedback that fights and progression, world first, etc. are over too quickly. Maybe that is the direction. Make the fights longer, make them more varied, make them more phases.
Possibly, but is that going to really change how you feel about a fight if it's 15 minutes instead of 11?
I'd be more exhausted. Well,
yes, there's also that. But I mean, the problem is when you have a deterministic system like the FF does, there's not really a lot of RNG, is there?
No, there is basically...
There is some.
2%.
I'm not going to say there's not.
There's 2% RNG.
Yeah, but there's only
without
so
player
much
error being put into it.
Yeah, there's only so fast you can make the fights and only so varied you can make the fights without players just being... Because players get used to the speeds, don't they?
They do. It's like a dance.
You go from, like, say, Endwalker was to Dawntrail's a bit faster, but after a couple of fights, you sort of get back up to speed of how the fights flow. And then you get used to it, but then, obviously, over time, and if you played the game for, God knows, 10 years or whatever, a lot of the mechanics you probably already know. I mean, we see it all the time when we were raiding.
Oh, it's a limit cut. It's this, that. Oh, it's virus again. Oh,
I still know, like, the out mechanic is Lunar Dynamo.
Yeah.
Or in an Iron Chariot and stuff. So you kind of go from that. So, and then you've got a few unique.
The real question is how much more layered and innovative can they actually get to make it? Like, that's going to be the real question. Now, that's not necessarily they can't do it. We're saying I'd be amazed if they managed to pull it off and push this direction. But I think you would be as well.
That is why, to bring it back around, is why I think cast times are going to go. Because the more mechanics you have in a row, and the more speed you have to basically, the more mechanics you layer, the less time you have to resolve each mechanic.
But
and then the more
is
time,
that
the more
not
mechanics.
artificial difficulty?
It's not artificial difficulty, it's a augmented difficulty. Well, you've got a thing, haven't you? You've either... It's not really artificial because it's just a different direction.
It's just a different direction.
Because when you think, like, your difficulty was in Heavensward was sort of 50% mechanics, 50% job.
Okay, yeah.
If you just start taking, like, you go down to 20% difficulty for job, 80% mechanics. It's not really an artificial difficulty for that particular fight. It's just you're doing less in one and you're focusing more on another. So you're sort of augmenting where you put your difficulty. Which, to be fair, is probably how they're going to go, given that it's not really marketed specifically for high-end challenging content. It's also marketed for people who just want to play the story and people who want to stand around in Limsa for some reason.
I like standing
hours.
around in Limsa, not for 12 hours though. Jeez. Oh my god, you'd get some weird tells. Anyway, let's move on from that topic.
Yes.
So, last thoughts on Black Mage before I scroll down.
I probably won't play it again.
You probably won't play it again. There we go. Summoner. Okay. Potency increases on Necrotize and Exodus. 1400 to 1500 on Exodus, 440 to 460 on Necrotize. Thoughts? Anything on Summoner? No? Just potency buffs?
There's 2 potency buffs. What more? I mean, most of it's instant cast anyway. They can't really...
the real change we want to Summoner has to have, like, expansion. Like, to most jobs, needs an expansion. And this time, 8.0 needs to go, right, we are breaking eggs this time. You know,
I think Summoner. I like the aesthetic of Summoner.
It's a good aesthetic. I like the use.
We were hyped when we saw it on the.
I was super hyped. Yeah, that summons were a thing, and then we were like, oh, but they're not really that much of a thing.
Yeah. And then I looked at it and went, oh, it's 4 buttons. Great.
Yeah. I mean, not saying that there isn't like some fun to be had. I enjoyed playing it, but I enjoyed previous iterations more, I'll be honest. If we could have a happy medium.
Not my kind of job.
Yeah, it's sort of my kind of job, but it's a bit... I'm not going to say it's easy. It's not too easy. I'm going to say it could do with a bit of pizzazz, and it needs more... Like, they leaned a bit into the actual summoning, but make the summons more epic. And I think hopefully they do something with 8.0 and make it more important for each one to exist and have like a specific reason for each thing. I don't know. Red Mage, I haven't played my Red Mage in forever. Vice of Thorns.
Red Mage is baffling, I think.
Potency increase 700 to 800 of Vice of Thorns. Pre-Fulgence, potency from 900 to 1000. Why is it baffling? Go.
Well, Red Mage has to cast every other cast.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, Black Mage has like 10 different instant casts they can do. So I'm confused about how it's going to be difficult to cast spells.
Yeah.
But Red Mage has to do it every other cast anyway, apart from in their melee rotation.
With no changes, by the way.
Yeah, no changes. So they've got... Yeah, so they've got 2 second cast every other cast, as opposed to, just doing triple cast or whatever. Apart from the melee rotation, which has to be a melee rotation, which is going to be harder to do close range attacks.
Because in theory, if we read what they actually said with melee, it's going to be harder for uptime, so your timing for that combo is going to be all over the place. There's
a good chance... You may not. You're going to have to hold your melee because you're going to be. There's no way because you're in melee downtime. And
Red Mage might end up being the more skillful.
A lot of people have said it's probably going to be the most complex caster.
Yeah, I honestly think it's probably if they do what they said they are doing, right? I'll believe it when I see it, right? Okay, like everybody will when we see the Savage on the April 1st. I think genuinely Red Mages are going to be worthy of some praise, honestly, if they pull it off. It seems more complex, especially with the melee combo.
I would just point out as well, the 2 potency buffs are just to AoE.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's why it's baffling to me that, generally speaking, Black Mage wasn't less mobile than Red Mage. But they've had to make they've made lots of changes to make Black Mage more mobile, but Red Mage is fine. Which kind of baffles me on what the fight design is now.
I don't know. They don't want people standing still in either melee or ranged, but at the same time, I think Red Mage just got the sticky end, honestly.
But yeah, well, I mean, yeah. But with Red Mage, for a lot of the fight, you know, apart from your thing, you're going to have to stand still every 2-second cast every 5 seconds. Which means you're going to have that amount of time for a lot of it. So it's just weird.
Pause. All right, now we're on to bread and butter. Pictomancer. It says, due to Pictomancer's high damage over time, area of effect damage and burst damage, as well as their performance even when unable to attack, this job boasts exceptional offensive capability. It does. It really does. However, in light of future battle design and the enhancement of other jobs, we have deemed it necessary to reduce their offensive abilities. Art rendering actions like Pom Muse in particular have a great influence on battle, so we've reduced their potency. In exchange, we have increased the potency of magic attacks like Fire and Red, hopefully to achieve a better balance among Pictomancer's actions. And there's a pause once I tab back, obviously. And then when we look at it then, so here we go. So you've got increases in potency to everything where you're basically casting. Across the board mostly, right? Fire and Red, arrow in green, water in blue. Yeah, your simple rotation. And then you've got your AoE changes, basically, as well as your big cooldowns, basically, on potency reduction. So basically what they don't want you to do is to be super powerful and, you know, when you're casting, when the boss is not attackable, to then come out of that and then do like a smash of its face with a hammer and do your, you know, your OP burst. Yeah, it's totally understandable. In my perfect sort of humble opinion here,
yeah, I
mean,
it
was necessary.
Yeah, they've reduced their downtime burst.
It's a step in the right direction, I think.
But put them back into their uptime. So they've buffed their uptime. Because to be fair, Picto wasn't that far ahead, or really ahead in full uptime fights. It's only the fights where there was a lot of downtime.
It's like cornering on a race. You know, like you've got a racetrack, you've got a muscle car, and you've got a Subaru Impreza. Okay, the Pictomancer was the Subaru, and it was I don't know. I'm trying to think of it was Laguna Seca. There we go. There's my car knowledge, my comparison, which no one will understand. You know, they were catching up in the corners. They were catching up and being better when the boss wasn't there. And so when the boss did reappear, it was whammo blammo time because we had everything painted. We were ready to unleash. So it was going to happen. We knew it was going to happen. It's a step, I think, in the right direction. So, I don't know. Yeah. Like one of our raid members said, actually, the comment earlier, not an outright nerf, but reducing the situational advantage Picto has in downtime without outright removing said advantage by moving potency to basic global cooldowns that require a target to use, mostly sorting out the through caster gap issue that certain individuals were complaining about without utterly homogenizing the job and removing its unique thing. I agree.
Yeah, I mean, you can't really complain. It's probably a slight nerf in pure damage numbers.
It will be enough. Yeah, but
it's not a massive. I don't think it's going to be massive, and
it will be in line probably with other casters. it really depends what the fights are like. It's terrifying, isn't it? Their little description of, oh yeah, it's going to be hard to cast. Oh, it's going to be hard for melee uptime. It's like, what does that mean? I will see it when I believe it. How can it be any more difficult? What are you going to do? Just have constant, I don't know, unkillable monsters like Pac-Man or something chasing after you on the outside of the arena? What spikes are in melee?
You know Guitar Hero?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, through the fire and the flames, you've got Guitar Hero, but you've got to dodge in between.
I've seen several YouTubers that'd probably be up for that challenge. All right, but yeah, basically, yeah, TLDR, Pictomancer, we knew it was going to happen. I'm still happy to play it. It still has the identity of a job that I personally like, and if they want to make more changes, then go for it. I like it, and honestly, I wish Summoner was more like Picto. I really do, because the identity that they have with the actual job identity is spot on, and I think that if they had that with Summoner, or something like that, or take Summoner back to how it used to be. But anyway, we won't dwell on it too much.
No.
And lastly, we have Healer. Attack potency for White Mage, Scholar, and Sage has been increased to achieve a better balance within the healer role. And if we actually look at this, White Mage...
It's just basically they've added 5 to dots.
Yeah.
Apart from Astro.
Yeah. Biolysis, 5. Potency to that. Deer, 5. And Astro, actually, more... Well, Gravity, it's an AoE, isn't it? To 140.
That's 10.
It's 10. It's 10 potency, steady on, and potency reduced by 50% after the first target for Oracle. We kind of knew that was going to happen. And Sage, 5. Yeah, there's not really too much to talk about there, is there?
D is technically 10 because it's potency on the initial hit.
Technically 10 potency. Does it bring them in line?
I have no idea.
I don't know anymore.
I mean, are they all that close to a increase? In fact, they've all got the same increase in dots.
So basically, any difference that there was, guess what? That same difference still gonna be there. There.
Yeah. So it turns out that White Mage was slightly underpowered, so they added dots, 1 to potency and the dot.
It's not going to be enough to be really like, oh yeah, look at me, I'm king of the castle over the others. These are minor, really minor.
I don't know why they didn't say it didn't really matter.
just a big orange sticker instead of the screen one. White Mage, healers. It really doesn't matter, guys. Don't worry about it. It's still the same. Don't worry about it. We'll look at you in the next expansion, I'm sure. Dear. But yeah, I'm sure it's fine. If you didn't have a problem before, you won't have a problem before. And if you did have a problem before, you're still going to have the problem that you had before. If you
thought your dot was slightly too weak, we got good news.
You sound like an infomercial. If your dot was too weak, try this. And the patch notes are just like, it's the same. It's literally the same picture. So overall thoughts, opinions then, before we look at some comments from my Discord, I asked them to talk about things. People could join that. The link is always in the description of every video. If you want to join our Discord, it's free to join and chat. And we often, or at least I will be trying to include people in videos and get their voices over. So, thoughts, opinions, generalizations of 7.2 Seekers of Eternity job changes, James?
Baffling that they're trying to balance an ultimate raid by changing the AoE of every single job.
Yeah.
It seems a bit weird.
It's a bit of a hands in the air, kind of situation.
I'm not sure on the unique nature of future battle design.
Unique nature of battle design, or future battle design.
I don't know why I keep doing quotation marks with my hands.
But it says future. It doesn't say this patch.
Yes, that's the unique nature of future.
We need to put all of our opinions on ice for whatever that future patch is, because it ain't this one.
But isn't that like every single time?
Basically. So like all of these changes are like, oh, it's going to be difficult to keep uptime in melee, and it's going to be difficult to cast. probably won't be in 7.2. It probably won't be.
Yeah, because they literally all say like magical range was we anticipate that future battle design.
Yeah.
Which this is even weirder because that basically says because it's not it will be it's we anticipate. That means that's not even this tier.
We anticipate, like we're guessing right now. It might be.
Yeah, I mean that can't be this tier then, right? Because
I don't know.
You don't turn around and say, we've made these 4 fights, but we're going to guess that it's going to be harder to cast.
Yeah, and they've tested this stuff, so they would know.
Yeah.
They would know, and it'd be like, guess what, guys? 7.2 Savage, this is going to be harder for melee. Yeah. But they didn't say that, so...
Well, it's the same, are they just because, they've made things like... saying out like, oh, this extreme's really hard, and people are like, it was really easy. So they're just basically not committing to anything anymore. So the point we anticipate is a way of saying, well, we never said it was guaranteed. So like if they turn around and said, melee are going to have terrible uptime in the next tier, and you went, actually it wasn't so bad. I imagine that might be what it is. So,
So, kind of question mark is the summary, really, honestly, of that?
Yeah, I mean, personally, I've never been a fan of basically removing all, like, failure or tracking from a job just to make the encounters more challenging. It seems to be, like, taking from one and just adding to the other. It doesn't really change anything. Especially when deterministic fights generally get easier over time. So they have the longevity of a job that's more challenging. Especially when you've got 21 jobs and you can do the fight 21 times and have a different... More or less.
All right, let's have a look at what some people said then. We're not going to mention names because keep anonymity. Somebody said, I can only talk for Dark Knight, Ninja, Viper, but to be honest, all I saw were some potency changes, which I didn't really mind. It is curious, though, that all of the abilities who have a potency for the first target and other potency for the remaining targets has been reduced from 50 to 25% for the rest of targets. I don't understand, but it's curious. As we've said, it's because of, well, they said to do with Fru, didn't they?
Ultimate,
quote unquote. Another person said the majority of the changes are level 100 AoE balancing adjustments, likely because they're adding a level 100 field exploration content that will involve no small amount of AoE farming. I mean, they have a point there. They have a point. The thing is, though, if it's anything like Baldessian Arsenal, yeah, you don't really want to pull that many. You really don't want to pull that many packs. And there are packs and there are patrols. Yeah.
It also depends, like, in the field, it depends how many people.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
If, like for the instant stuff like Bellis in Arsenal, yeah, you can balance that. But like when we did a Eureka and Bosja, I mean, you could have a pack of 30, but then you could have 50 players attacking it all at once. So
well, you get 48. What is it? I think it's 48 players in Fork Tower. I think it was. I think that's what it said.
Yeah, but in the overworld sort of Eureka bit, I don't see how that, because you just have loads of people, unless I don't know.
I don't know even. Another person said, "Machinist main, too little, too late," is what they said. I'm trying to figure out what would too little, too late
changes. I don't think they've had a lot.
I mean, yeah, I would say there is too little in there, honestly, and it would be nice to see some machinist buffs to single target damage. This didn't really do anything, did it?
No.
They also say Pictomancer seems to take money away from the sigils for basic rotations. Oh yeah, they're talking about the art. Yeah. They say Black Mage look. I've never been good at this class. I don't want them to remove one of the last truly high skill jobs to just give something you can slam your face onto the keyboard and win. End quote. I mean, they've got a point. But that ship kind of sailed, no?
Yeah.
That ship kind of sailed with Dawntrail. I'm fairly sure, and the ship is it's sailing away. It's still sailing away.
The ship sank.
It will do when it gets to Shades Triangle, because that's the Bermuda Triangle, isn't it? So it's far away now. I mean, it's not too far. They can pull it back, but it's going to take a big expansion. And then Dark Knight, actual self healing like the other classes have when. And another valid point. Another valid point. Some people have some great opinions. Again, I will reiterate. I know a lot of people don't like the official Final Fantasy XIV forums, and every time I mention it, somebody goes into the comment section and says, "Oh, they won't do anything." But the thing is, if that was true, then they wouldn't be listening to the people that have made the jobs into what they currently have, based on what feedback they have written.
I don't know, tell that to the healers.
Oh yeah, that's a good point, actually. I don't know what's going on with this game, man. I have no idea in terms of balance. It's kind of like, here's the document, here's the plans. We're going to throw them out the window. I have no idea.
I mean, I will put out, people complain that they don't take feedback, but who do you take feedback from?
Exactly.
The game, I mean, let's be conservative and say they've got hundreds of thousands of active players. You're never going to get consensus of what people want.
You're not, because there are obviously other viewpoints.
I do think they need to
make the decision for themselves.
They need to be more hardline with their decisions and be like, this is what we're doing.
Yeah.
As opposed to, sort of...
It might be harder for Melee in the future. Yeah. It would be nice if it was just like, it will be harder for Melee in the future, and this will happen in 7.3.
I mean, a bit more forthright communication. Like, they said, we're doing updated encounter designs.
Mm-hmm.
They could have literally turned around and said, look, we're making the fights faster and more intuitive.
Yeah, so I think people would
have to change.
Appreciate the transparency more, I think. Yeah. I don't think they could really... I don't think it would be a bad idea to have more transparency and openness.
I mean, you don't have to have
their vision is.
You don't have to have an entire design, but you could be like, we're planning on this or this. So the jobs are going to have to get simpler for a time while we sort out where we need the jobs to be.
Yeah, I think that would be a fair way to put it. Yeah.
But one thing that did annoy me is they didn't even mention Black Mage was being changed. So if they had played it in a live letter, no one would have noticed until it turned up.
The live letter footage, the eagle-eyed were very vocal about it. As soon as they saw there were no timers, they were like, hold on a minute, what? And then they watched back the footage. So, I mean, people are not silly. They're going to be able to sit down and go, wait, that's different. So, a little bit of... If they had mentioned it in a live letter, some are being significantly changed, and one of them is Black Mage, again. But again, we've got to value the other viewpoints. There are no wrong answers from a community, because at the end of the day, the community can, whatever you like about your job is what you like about your job. There's no changing that. There are different ways of playing. Like, for example, one of our Discord members says the Astral Umbral timer on Black Mage made that job more difficult than it needed to be. I'm glad it's gone. I mean, that might be an opinion you don't agree with. Certainly, probably, right? But
no comment.
That's fine. It's fine to disagree with something. That's what I'm trying to get. But you're right. Who do they listen to for feedback? They certainly shouldn't listen to me. They certainly shouldn't listen to you, and they certainly shouldn't listen to people who don't know how to critically analyze something and put their words down without being, how do you put it?
Yeah.
Unprofessional.
They do need to take. I think they need to take some kind of feedback, like maybe for healers and stuff. Maybe look at.
I just think they need to have a concrete plan in their head for what they want the game to be in 8.0, because it's not too late to make those plans, right? They can go, right, okay, maybe 7.0 was not received as well, but what do we want the game to feel like? What do we want jobs to feel like? Because it feels like Dawntrail is more of, all right, let's see how complex we can get fights then. That's what I read from these paragraphs, right? So 7.3, maybe 7.4 is where we're going to be seeing some of those harder uptimes or whatever, and see what they want to do. And if they like that direction and they really have to gut back jobs, then they need to go, this is what we're doing, and this is the direction we want for the game. But I don't know if I can confidently say that they will handle the feedback from that in the way that necessarily another game company would. And I don't think it would necessarily end up the way that people think it would end up.
No, because it's tricky once a game gets big enough.
Yeah. It is.
I mean,
tricky.
you could go on the forums and look through the feedback and go, "Oh, we'll do that," and then
it's still important. It's still important for them to provide feedback, though. I will rest in that coffin. I will die on that hill, and
absolutely,
I cannot stand it when people say, "No, I'm not going to the forums because no one listens." That is the wrong attitude. Okay, if no one listens to your voice, at least you've shouted it.
Yeah,
at least you can say, "Well, I said this." You know what I mean?
I mean, if a post on the forum gets 300 and something pages in 2 days, and it's something they don't like, that you probably look at. A post that's got 2 replies in 3 weeks.
Well, there you go. There's your ratio of what you of what you look at, and it's also how it's written as well. This is another thing I've been talking to my stream about recently. People will be like, "Oh, well, it's insert whatever word here, words that I can't say on YouTube." Right? It's this. This person is this. Etc. Right? Blaming on individual people, individual developers, and that is not on. That is not.
Or
on.
The classic. It's crap. All right.
Yeah, I mean, it's like people. Why? But why?
Yeah.
Usual words. To work with. Usual words.
Give me something to work with here.
Yeah, it's like if I was a dev and I saw "it is crap" or the equivalent that can't be said on YouTube, I'd be like, all right, next, because that makes no sense. How many times do you reckon they've read something like that and gone, right, okay, I'm not interested in this forum anymore? But there are people paid to do this, though, that will look at the forums.
I mean, part of it has got to be the community needs probably be a bit better in organising. Because, I mean, how many posts do you see that are basically the same thing?
I'm going to say this as well. Square Enix's websites, whoever is in charge of the websites, please give them more money. Mostly because the website design for the forums and the lodestone and the special sites are actually really good, right?
The store's not too bad.
The store, let's not talk about that too much. The store is not too bad. However, no, the store is bad because you have to log in twice after you've already put your authenticator into once, and then you have to put it in again. And then no, there's some back end. But I don't know. I think if a forum's got a little bit of, what do you call it? A sprinkle
update
of 2025 as opposed to 1995, we'd probably get a little bit further. The infrastructure on that side. I don't think that's unfair to say that my biggest criticism is most people don't like your forums because they're kind of slow, unresponsive, filters don't work, posts get hidden. It is not great. It is not great. I'd rather them spend some casherini on that.
Also, I believe you need an active sub to be able to log in.
Is that true?
I think so, yeah.
Citation needed? No idea. Didn't know that was a thing.
I'm pretty sure if your sub runs out, you're not allowed to log into the forums.
Oh, I did not know that. Again, citation needed, no idea.
Yes, I think I read it somewhere on Reddit or something.
Well, yeah, you can't trust Reddit.
Take it with a grain of salt, but it does sound
I want to take it with a bucket of salt.
There was also a few on the forums that said, I resubbed just to post this.
I mean, that's dedication. That's dedication.
Yeah,
but if let's put it this way, all right, and I'll rephrase. If you can post, you should post if you feel strongly about something. If you feel strongly about something, it's like anything in the universe, right? Without getting political, right? Or whatever, anything in the world, right? If you don't speak, if you don't write something, then you can't say that you said something. You know what I mean? Because you're just shouting into a void.
I mean, you might even just go on to a post that someone else has always written and go, I agree.
Yeah.
It adds to the post count, which
Bump
means...
it up. Or is it upvotes on the forum? I don't even know.
Yes, but there's no downvoting.
Oh, weird. Oh, is that like a 2025 thing or 2024 thing where you can't downvote things because of YouTube's dislike button removal?
You can thumbs up.
I strongly think that people should have, this is completely off tangent, I strongly believe that people should have equal rights to dislike something as well as they are to like something, and those things should be visible to the public. That's all I'm going to say on that, though. You know, but feedback is important. Let's put it that way. And let me stress that as well. A lot of people have criticized me for not being overly critical about the game, and to be perfectly honest, I have been in the majority of the videos out of the hundreds that I do a month. Okay, it's just you probably don't always see that because they're showcases. I showcase things, new things, I look at new things, and I like to talk about the things I enjoy. If I was talking about everything that I disliked all the time, I wouldn't be able to be as critical.
Also, you have me to come on and rant about stuff.
Yeah, but I would run out of steam, though. I don't understand. I can't rage bait. I'm sorry. It's not in my blood. I can't do it. And if I've got something critical to talk about, I will do it in my own little way. But I'm certainly not either way. I just enjoy playing video games, and 14 happens to be my personal little love.
I just realised on the job site it says magical range DPS use attack focus. Movement is restricted by cast times. Is it? But it accelerates inflicting high burst damage.
So what we're saying is we have to take what it says on the job guide with many, many pinches of salt, and it ain't this patch, and it probably isn't going to be the next patch, and they're probably not. They're probably generalizing there rather than actually making changes. I don't know. We'll see it when we believe it. Well, we'll believe it when we see it, rather. I got that the wrong way around. Yeah. But I think that wraps up, right, for the battle system changes.
We're going to have a quick look at PvP.
A quick look at PvP? Oh, boy. Okay. Addendum. This is already a long video. People are going to hate me for that. PvP. I'm going to have to scroll down for that. Actually, we can click here. Let's
see if there's anything interesting.
Yarm changes. Not going to read all that for tanks. Area of effect increases to an extra Yarm.
So this is crystalline conflict changes? Or just general PvP?
General PvP.
Just seems AoEs have been increased by a Yarm.
Viper, Sliver, Alliance members and other players are now selectable as targets. Oh, that's cool. Movement thing.
That's same as ethereal manipulation.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Massive, well, not really massive, but a potency change to Marksman Spy. Again, these are just... I mean, technically, our first machinist buff of the patch notes. It's in PvP, but, you know, where PvP is a lot more fun for a lot of jobs. I don't know if you played it, but, oh my goodness.
I actually did do a bit of Black Mage on that.
The PvP is completely different, but I actually really enjoy Crystalline Conflict.
I was so weirded out when I played Black Mage in PvE to realise it was more of a support class. Than a high damage DPS, but it was really fun.
I wreck as Dragoon in PvP, but I suck at PvE Dragoon.
So, the thing with large scale PvP duty specific rules.
Oh, are we going down to that? We've got
these are just, so these
Sage.
are
large scale
role actions. The
new role actions. This is for Frontline, Rival Wings, and Wolf's Den Pier. Oh, that's kind of weird. So when you're testing out abilities, I guess so you can test out the role actions.
Yeah.
All right, okay. And you'll be able to select one of these, and you drag this button that's PvP role action to your bar, and whatever one you've selected. I mean, Stone Skin. I mean, look at Stone Skin's back.
Tank, we've got Rampage, Rampart, and Full Swing. Holy crap, a 30 Yarm knockback.
Yeah.
And removes guard.
You know what my opinion of tanks is in PvP, right?
No.
Run away, and I can't. It's painful. Hey, at least they'll knock me away now instead of,
But removes guard. It also removes guard.
There's some nice... You know, it's sad to me. when I'm more excited for the PvP like stuff like the role actions because they sound juicy and imaginative. You know what I mean?
I mean, yeah, tanks have some really good like. You've got a damage which increases damage taken.
Yeah.
A defensive.
Yeah.
And then
so you could and you choose one of these. So you don't have all three. You choose which one. And this is what I mean. I was talking about this the other day, not on a video or anything. I kind of want PvE to be like this. I kind of want there to be a choice and for you to live with that choice and for different fights to be tailored to different choices.
Yeah.
Because this is cool. Like, I can have less damage taken, right? Or I can literally have this enormous knock. Well, it's not enormous, but enormous knockback.
30 arms is fairly distant.
It's pretty big, especially in like Palestra or something like that. Yeah, it could be around a wall or something.
Especially when you think area of effects has just been increased from 5 to 6 yarms. So it's 5 times the distance of an AoE. Especially
considering what actions you can combo that with.
Especially now,
like locking them down.
Especially now, it removes guard. If you could punt them into like your team.
It's just going to be full swing. The one guy that's still on the crystal in overtime, straight off there, and then CC them down. That's basically it. It looks exciting to be a tank.
No, because it's not available in Crystalline Conflict.
Oh, right, yes. Oh, that's why they've done it, sorry.
Yeah.
I slipped up in my own brain. I was like, this would be good for Crystalline.
Yeah.
It could still be good for the new redone front line of, what was it? Secure. Is it Secure? Or it is Secure, isn't it? Yeah. Melee stuff.
Bloodbath. Very good.
100% of physical damage dealt into HP. Yeah, I mean that's a choice.
Grants immunity to pretty much every CC effect.
Swift, movement speed. That's nice. Immunity. Smite, just a potency attack. Potency increases up to 18,000 of the attacks. Of the target's HP decrease as the target's HP decreases. I can't speak now.
Recime resets upon earning the killer an assist.
That's pretty cool, isn't it? That's very arcadey. I like that. See, this is what I like about this game mode.
It's a lot of games. What is it called? Execute, where you get an execute ability.
What they've done with Frontline, with these changes, with the role actions, is they've gone and played multiplayer team deathmatch games of like Halo or something. That's what they've done. That's literally what they've done, and they've realized, that's kind of like an integral part of what makes that fun.
Fizz ranged have a party buff.
Dervish. Yeah, weapon skills, recast time of spells, cast time, 10%. Movement speed by 25% for self and nearby party members. It doesn't say what nearby party members are, like what yarm that is, but it's for 12 seconds, though.
That's a lot of movement speed, though.
For 12 seconds? That's not like 5 seconds. That's half of a... That's a good area.
That's half a peloton, isn't it?
Yes, I think it is. Good maths. Bravery increases damage dealt by 25%.
And reduces damage taken.
And reduces 25% for 10 seconds. An Eagle Eye shot. Potency 12,000.
But ignores effective guard. So someone runs and with low health, bang.
Instead of you using your limit break.
Yeah.
I actually want to try Frontline now. It was my least favourite of the PvPs before.
The magic ones are interesting.
So, Comet deals magic damage to enemies at a designated area with a potency of 20,000. You cannot move while casting, nor can you cancel the spell once cast.
Yeah.
That's what they should just give to Black Mage right now.
I mean, that's an interesting one, because they've made it so it's uninterruptible and you can't cancel.
Yeah, but at the same time, your vulnerability is, look, this guy's casting a big thing, kill him.
Yeah.
It's like putting a target on your head and going, yeah, look at me. But
then again, I don't think 20,000's that big, is it?
In a team fight, it is, especially if you're on a cliff.
I mean, yeah, to everybody, yeah.
But
to a single target, it's not so good.
20 grand's not gonna do anything to a full health person. Phantom Dart deals unaspected damage, potency 4,000, and increases target's damage taken by 25% for 5 seconds. 5 seconds, it's kind of, that's weak.
Yeah.
That's a weak one. 5 seconds is not... In frontline, 5 seconds is nothing. If this was CC, that would be huge. Especially for team play.
Rust not bad when...
Rust reduces damage dealt and healing potency of nearby enemies by 25% for 10.
I mean, if you got a healer who's healing people or a tank who's...
So you basically just have this aura of if you're near me, you're screwed.
Yeah.
These combined are going to make frontline matches very back and forth, and it probably needs that, honestly. Because at the minute, it's a bit of a Zerg fest. I don't know if you've done frontline. Yeah. It's who has the most people. That's it. Who presses the button first? Healers. We got Halen. Halen.
It's just a 12k potency.
12k potency. Target HP healer. Yeah.
Bit boring.
But it's an extra button that does that, right? Stoneskin 2 creates a barrier around self and nearby party members. Oh, Stoneskin, how we've missed you. Absorbs damage equivalent to a heal of 10,000 potency. That's a bit weak, but for 10 seconds rather, not 10,000 seconds. And Diabrosis deals unaspected damage with potency of 8,000 to target and all enemies nearby it. Doesn't say what range. It probably does in the job guide. Additional effect reduces target's HP covered by healing actions by 25%. So just a nice little bit of a poke, really, for 10 seconds.
It's not bad. It's situational, depending.
Well,
10 seconds.
Okay, you've got here's the situation. You've got a paladin running away, and he's on his own, and there's 6 of you, and you can't kill him, no matter how far he goes away. And a healer puts Diabrosis on him. He dead. Especially if you combine it with I don't know, Rust or something. If these things stack, which I presume they would.
Yeah, they seem like they're different.
And then an eagle eye shot, and it's like, yep, bye. Yeah. And then we've got a huge section on the time between action execution and effect activation. That's a mouthful. Has been shortened for the following PvP actions, and there's
basically they reduced the activation time.
Yeah, which they did before, right?
I believe in PvE, I think it's still the same, but in PvE, there's a 0.7 second activation delay between when you press an off global and when it actually activates.
Maim, etc. Yeah.
Yeah, well, it doesn't really matter when you're casting, obviously, because the cast time is longer. But this is why you could only. In 2.5 seconds, this is why you could only weave twice. Because you have your initial activation and then your 2, which makes 2.1 seconds. Which is why you could only ever weave twice in your clip if you triple weave.
So basically just more responsive PvP, hopefully?
Which is interesting, because why would they keep... I'm guessing they're keeping it so you can... They're artificially limiting weave in PvE.
Like I say, it's a completely different game. And that's what I'm saying as well about, the role actions are a big deal of Frontline, but both of the PvP systems are vastly different from each other at this point now with this patch note. And also PvE is like the boat has sailed in the distance. It's that far away from being the same. It's interesting. Whenever they originally said, oh yeah, we want to make... PvP more of a unique experience. I never thought it would be as well clad as it is. I was a doubter, I'll be perfectly honest, but I enjoy CC. I really do. And
I don't really do Crystalline Conflict because I'm too lazy. But I did a bunch of
it's good fun though
and stuff.
Yeah, PvP as a whole. I used to be a hater. Not gonna lie to you. When the feast existed. I was the most miserable person on the planet.
No, that was me trying to do a full Black Mage rotation.
Okay, that was you. I was the second most miserable person on the planet. And
me. I'm going to cast a Firefoot, I'm dead.
Yeah. But now, it's kind of enjoyable. I like the back and forth. Too bad. And if the role actions specifically, I think should add to a bit more back and forth, and that's what's needed. Since we're also here, the effect and or motions of the following PvP actions has been adjusted. Hyosha Ranryo, Dance to the Dawn, and Resolution. The effects and or motions have been adjusted. What does that mean?
I'm going to guess that is an effect change, sort of graphically.
Graphic change?
The
It
effects
says
and or
motions. Oh, so
Yeah,
like their
how-
animations?
Yeah, it sounds like it.
So you can
'Cause,
see
yeah.
you can identify the moves more?
Like Dance to the Dawn
Hmm.
sort of thing. I imagine it's going to... Maybe they were too flashy, or...
Or maybe they weren't. Maybe they were
Flashy
like,
enough.
yeah, no, maybe not flashy enough, but like it wasn't obvious what the character was doing. I don't know.
Yeah, like what does like
To be-
Dance to the Dawn
Yeah,
is possibly? Yeah, I mean,
yeah, I don't know. And then the big one for me that I didn't read the other day: new items are available in exchange for trophy crystals. Now, trophy crystals are and have been the most disappointing currency in the game for me, because you get so many of them when you're pushing your series, and I push the series every time, and this time we're getting a cool mantis spider robot, and that's cool. I'll definitely be going for that, obviously. But trophy crystals are kind of just like, yep, yeah, you can't, I mean, you can exchange them for wolf collars and stuff, and some old stuff, but there was nothing added so far really in Dawntrail, and it's like, so this could be the opportunity. It says a number of previous PvP series rewards have been made available for exchange. So I missed this the other day. If this was on the original preliminary notes, and I don't think it was because I would have said something, they have been saying they are going to do this for a long time. But originally, if you remember, the phrase was something a little bit different. Previous PvP rewards is what they said. Now it's previous PvP series rewards. So my dreams of them bringing those feast top 100 mounts and things back, probably never going to happen. Probably never going to happen. But I think they should, because the controversies that people can Google around them.
And
So-
just to put out, the Europe PvP is on Crystalline Conflict is on Chaos.
It is on Chaos this time. It is for us Europeans, and Crystal for North America. So back to Chaos actually maybe having queue times. Maybe not. Maybe not. Where people still jump to light to raid, obviously.
Oh, there's actually frontline damage stuff.
Tactical Crystal Moon. Yeah, I mean, there are some other PvP things if we really want to go through this. Do you want to go through this?
I mean, I'll be honest, the frontline stuff is more damage taken, damage dealt.
I mean, yeah, okay. Yeah, we looked at this stuff before on the other patch notes. So the frontline one, damage taken, damage dealt, reduction, Dark Knight Warrior.
Limit gauge fill rate reduced from plus 45 seconds to plus 15 seconds.
Yeah. Maybe they were thinking that Dragoon's LB was a little bit easy to fill.
No, because that sounds like it's getting a bit filled faster.
No. Oh, yeah, it does.
Yeah. It's ninjas that are being increased to plus 15 seconds.
So you'll get your limit on Dragoon quicker. Oh, I'm going to be destroying then. Oh, dear.
But you lose. Damage dealt increased from minus 20 to minus 15. So 5% damage increase as well, looks like.
So it's buffed and more available. Okay, cool. Sign me up. I like my Dragoon PvP. Ninja damage taken minus
just
50.
a point. Do you know what limit gauge fill rate plus 15 seconds means? Or is it just me that seems like it's...
So your limit gauge fills, and it takes time to fill. And you can do certain things within there to reduce that time. So we're talking about how quick it statically fills for each limit break. Because
so
each limit break is
45 seconds to 15 seconds.
Well, it's supposed to be based on how powerful each of the limit breaks are. So, like, if it's a more powerful and deadly single target one, for example, then usually that would, or let's like, for example, Samurai with its AoE that can just annihilate people if they're next to it, right? Which they haven't changed at all. Usually that's it takes longer to fill that for obvious reasons because there's a one shot.
Yeah.
Right. So I don't know. Well, Dragoon's pretty powerful in my opinion, but
it just doesn't seem to be very concise and informative.
I mean, this is PvP balancing, bro. Like, I have no idea.
I mean, honestly, if you said and it said increase to plus 15 seconds, I would have thought, well, that adds 15 seconds.
Yeah, but it was plus 45 seconds. So if it took 45 seconds to fill, it will only take 15 seconds now. Yeah, the wording is bad.
Hang on, let me have a look. Yeah, the wording's just bad.
Or it could just be us at like 8:40 in the evening trying to figure out the terminology.
So in the Dragoon, it says the gauge charge time is 90 seconds.
Yeah. But is the fill rate? Can we move on?
Yeah.
This is confusing you way too much. The following adjustments have been made to battle high rating gained upon KOing or assisting.
If someone tells me in the college what limit gauge fill rate means, thank you.
In the college? Give me the comments. Yeah. Go for it. Go for it. Knockout 10 to 8. Assist 2 to 4. Yeah. And then pretty much I covered I didn't actually cover this stuff because there was a lot of stuff. But basically...
Black Mage got nerfed.
Borderlands Ruined Secure has been completely changed. You could teleport in. There's a lot of really cool things that I'm not going to go into much. But for the most part, the main focus for us today was the job system changes. I think we've covered it and then some in this kind of accidental podcast that I'm not really going to edit. Sorry about that. But it gives you something to listen to. Where two grown men complain about, or not complain, but grumble about changes in the future. But to be fair, they used the word future, so we didn't.
Yes.
Yeah. Last thoughts? Final words? Are you going to come back for May's patch and join me in Shades Triangle?
Possibly.
Yeah, that's what I like to hear.
It depends on what you're doing. It depends on what the timing and stuff, obviously.
The timing?
Yeah, times you do it.
Every day. Jump in when you can because there's a level sync feature.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter how low level you are. That's the best thing about that. I mean, this is off topic, but yeah, you should join in. And that applies to anyone else who's watching this. If you want to join us on, I guess we might do it on Chaos Data Center. I think we might be limited to it anyway. Join in. We'll do some Shades Triangle. We'll do some fates and things.
Join the Discord and give yourself the correct role, which I don't remember what you put it as.
Yeah, you could see it up there. It says on the role page itself.
Okay.
Yeah, but yeah. Thank you so much for joining me today, James. As we sat here for far too long. And I'm sure people are bored through their teeth. If they watched this far, thank you. But it was just fun to have a bit of a chit chat, really.
It was, wasn't it?
Yeah, we haven't done this in a very long time. So, yeah, but be nice in the comments. Be nice. James is opinionated, and his opinions and vision of what he would like to play does not necessarily match with most of you, most likely.
I'll go for it because I don't care.
Yeah, but there we go. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you all next time. And the patch day tomorrow, we'll have lots and lots of my usual coverage, and we'll be hopefully diving into as much as we physically can and showing where that stuff comes from. But thank you once again, James. Appreciate you being on here.
Always a pleasure.
And we'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.